Hey, True Believers, Englentine here with another batch of new comic book reviews. This time, it's a book that usually I put like a big, it's a number one. We got to put that in as the big book of the week. And I've got a number one, Moon Knight number one. I did review, but the one that stood out to me was the Green Arrow. So I did a 7-minute review on it. I have not been reading any new books recently, so jumping into this company-wide crossover was a bit of a task. So instead of 4 videos, 4 comic books to review, I've got 3. Stay to the end to find out which one's the worst, which one's the best. Otherwise, kick back, relax, let's get this party started. Just a little heads up, this is my first foray into the Beast World storyline. I came into this party a little bit late and a little bit cynical because I'm not a new book reader anymore. But hey, I run a comic book channel, so you got to keep your finger at least near the pulse, right? So let's give this thing its day in court. Now, right out the gate, one thing that kind of impressed me is it gave me enough, here's what happened in previous issues, to understand what's going on. I don't need to know much. Right here, this page explained everything. Caught me up. Let's go. I don't know need to know the details. Just get me moving on this story, and it does. So we have Green Arrow and Connor Hawke looking for Speedy, or Arsenal, Roy Harper, anyway. And apparently Beast Boy went kind of nuts as he got hit with a Starro thing. Some new spore that was created from him ends up turning people into animals. Okay, cool. I get it. Let's go. And what impressed me about this first story, I believe this is by Joshua Williams, is that it really is, it has action. It's moving along. It's moving forward. But it doesn't sacrifice action for story. You do get the father-son aspect. You do get Green Arrow thinking about how he's trying to connect with his son while he's fighting all the bad guys, or at least the animals and such. And I like this because he is a professional. He's been doing this for a while, so he can have these inner monologues, and it really works. This is a well-told story with a lot of good action. And one thing also I like about this book is there are multiple stories in this thing, and it kind of reminded me of an old Golden Age comic. This is my favorite story right here. I forgot what it was called and who wrote it, so I apologize on that. The credits are going to pop up here. Oh, there we go, Birds of a Feather. And this, you have a Red Canary, which I haven't heard of. Like I said, I stopped reading new books. And she is underconfident to do this, to do a superhero job. And that is brought up, like throughout. Black Canary's telling her, move, do something, move, do something. Even tells her to go home. Look, if you're not going to do it, you can't, and you can't do this half-ass. You got to be either all in or all out, because you're going to get people hurt, including yourself. And I kind of like that, because too many times somebody like, oh, I had an origin, let me go fight Galactus. As a matter of fact, I think Dazzler ended up fighting Galactus in issue like 12. What would that be, like a month of her having superpowers? So it's kind of cool to see this sort of humanization in a comic book story. I was pleasantly surprised by this. I liked the humanity given to Green Arrow and Connor Hawke in the first story. This one to the Red Canary. I'm not quite sure I would have made the choices. Like they were like, save the people. Good choice. No, it wasn't. Keep the power mad people from getting more power, because that's just going to cause more problems for the people you're trying to save. And that does come back in a later story in this issue as well. Next up, let's see, what was it? Okay, we're still on the Red Canary thing here, but I think I've said all I need to say about that. But the next story was by Robert Venditti. I am a huge Robert Venditti fan. Right away, I didn't notice the credits, so all I saw was the art. And this is the most cartoonish looking story in the book. And in all honesty, it's the most cartoonish acting story. It's Robert Venditti writing Stargirl, Huntress, and I guess this is the new Speedy, or Red Arrow, or whatever you want to call it. Like I said, I haven't read new comics in a while, and I didn't look up back issues for this. My new bird's going crazy in the background, by the way. I think he's trying to get my attention. Anywho, this one they're fighting Green Arrow and I guess the new female Flash, the daughter of the Flash, or Green Lantern, I meant, not Green Arrow. And the dialogue through all this, hey, you need to get out of here. I have interesting parents when it comes to knowledge about alligators. I'm in Florida. I have interesting parents too, but in Florida, you know how to, just roll that fucker on the back, that kind of thing. It's just a fun story. This is why comics exist. It is a silly, stupid, and by the way, comic books are weird when they're at their best because you realize you can do whatever the hell you want. Whatever you could draw, that's what you can write, that kind of thing. This is just a purely entertaining story. I really like this one by Robert Venditti, and I'm sorry I didn't get the artist's name on this one. So the first part of the book is called Like Father. This is Like Son, and it's by Brandt and Stein or something like that. And this finishes the first story off horribly. This is what's wrong with comics. First of all, they decide, okay, we need to stop the bad guys from creating more spores. No, we need to save the spore people. No, you need to fix the leak before you take care of the water in the boat. Otherwise, it's just going to keep pouring over. Green Arrow was right. Connor Hawke was wrong. And Connor Hawke was incredibly wrong. And all throughout this last story, he's like, my dad doesn't change. I'm going to stick with my values, and I'm going to... And that's his dialogue all throughout. Me, 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 me. And it really is me, 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 me. He is absolutely right. He is absolutely right. And anybody who tells him differently obviously is out of touch and I don't think the writers understand that that's how they wrote Connor Hawke. They truly did. And basically this is about being gay, because all throughout it's like, he doesn't accept me for who I am. You got to accept me for who I am. I think that part, we're covered on that part. It's not about gay. It's about you're freaking wrong. I mean, really freaking wrong. And in the end, Green Arrow ends up having to clean up his mess anyhow. It's a horrible way to end in the story. They should have just kept it with Joshua Williams. It's not a deal breaker. Like the rest of the book is good enough to carry this piece of crap. But in the end, this last story really is a piece of crap. So I came across this graphic novel by Antoine Maillard. Anywho, it's very much kind of up my alley. It is a slasher book. And this almost falls into the category of a book where it's like, okay, they are not the most appealing characters. Like this is a very kind of low-rank group of people. And by that, I mean they're willing to do bad things to get ahead and all that kind of stuff. But still, I think the artist, this Antoine guy does a pretty good job of making us care about these characters in spite of these particular crimes. That can be done. You just have to have your really bad character so your protagonist can contrast with them. Okay, they're all a little bit seedy, but because of this, there you go. Okay, anyway, let's get to it. This is a book, as you probably just saw through the art, about a small town on the coast, and there is a serial killer. And I like the fact that he's not in a mask. It's not a Jason thing. This is just a dude that kills people with various blunt object, baseball bat, golf club, whatever, what have you. And it's just basically this town that is trying to deal with it. And weirdly enough, there's also a kid who just seems to be a bit of a sociopath. And it's kind of like, is he the dude in the hat? Is he not the dude in the hat? And overall, I dig on the mystery within. But I'm trying to think of something bad. I'm trying to think, what can I say? It's maybe it was. But the truth is I'm not saying this book's perfect. It's just entertaining. It's kind of what you want in an independent comic book. I don't think it pushes any boundaries as to have we seen anything or like this before. Yeah, sure. One thing I do like is that it's not played up for gore. That's not this kind of book. The horror of this story, I think, is in the naturalistic setting. This does happen. This can happen. And yeah, like I said, Characters, while they're not the greatest people in the world, are still interesting. And overall, I gotta say, if you can find slash them all, do yourself a favor. Check it out. Moon Knight #1 by Jed MacKay and Alessandro Cappuccio. I believe that's her name. There comes the credit, so you can look this up. But I picked this up. It's Moon Knight. Okay, so I want to check it out. New book, new direction, right? No. See, I don't really read new books. I've mentioned that before. But I do occasionally check in. And this is a story that was going on, and now they're just continuing it. There's no new direction. There's no new team. There's no new anything. It's just a continuation. It's the most cynical #1 that I have read in a long, long time. I was hoping for something. And most of this is really just talking about Moon Knight, talking about Tigra, but not in a who she is and here she is and this is the character and this is what we're going to do as we move on. This is literally the middle of a storyline. That's how it reads. That's how it feels. I wish I could say more. This is Moon Knight. I like Moon Knight. But unfortunately, it's not that they're treating the character bad either. And if you've been reading the story from the time that it started, you're probably going to get a big kick out of this. But if you are coming in as a new reader, or maybe, hey, you're new to Moon Knight, you saw the show, you like him, or something made you pick this book up, it's going to be a little bit confusing because you're dropped into the middle of a story. There's no before, except for a little bit on the on a page. There's no character saying, "Hey, this is what came before. Let me catch you up." You're supposed to go into this, hit the ground running, and that's it. I don't mind the art. Got to give that credit where credit is due. The coloring is pretty good. You could see that. I mean, I could read all the words, so hey, good on that letterer. But as far as Jed MacKay's concerned, as far as the writing is concerned, this is horrible. At the very least, in the beginning, in the very first page, you should have a few panels dedicated to people saying, hey, remember what happened in that last issue? Remember what happened over here? This book was sorely lacking that. But that's just my opinion. What is yours? Alrighty, gang, we only had 3 books. I'm going to put them worst to best in my little wrap-up here, but I think you know who won. In 3rd place, it was Moon Knight. It's the reboot that's not a reboot. It's a renumbering, obviously brought down on high. Check it out. If you've been reading the book, you're not going to be disappointed. If you are, I don't know, maybe you liked it a lot better than I. Maybe you didn't recognize it as what I recognized it as. Like I said, the art, at the very least, you could point to the art and say, it's not bad. 2nd place goes to Slash Them All. I keep calling it Slay 'Em All, but it's Slash 'Em All. Very simple story about a serial killer that hits a town that's got problems, and they're kind of tough themselves. It's simple art, it's a simple story, and it works on that level. Which leaves Titan's Beast World. Let me try that again. Which leaves Titan's Beast World Tour Star City as the best of the bunch. It is just a reminder of better times, better things in comics. This is what I liked. Of course, it's got some silliness to it, and I think some of that silliness is what makes it good. It did not stick the landing. The ending was horrible, but everything else was top-notch.